Hi guys, it's Emma here. So today's video is going to be a review and comparison of 5 of the most favoured notebooks used for bullet journaling. All of these notebooks are new. I haven't opened them or dived into them yet. Some of them I have used previously, others are brand new to me, such as the Rhodia Goalbook, Scribbles That Matter and the Nuuna. So if you're confused about bullet journaling and about which is the best notebook to use, or if you perhaps just want to compare some of them, the paperweight for example, the feel, the bleed through, we can go through all of the features that make up these books and help you decide. So a little bit of a guide for you as to these 5 books. So let's get cracking. So let's start off talking about the covers of all of them first, because that's the external appearance. Appearance may matter to you. So we have, let's start off. First of all, I've got the Nuuna. This is the Nuuna Graphic L here. Now the cover is absolutely beautiful. This is a stunning book, and as you can see, the design from the cover goes all the way around the edge of the book, across the pages, down the spine. It looks almost like a beautiful slab of marble. It is absolutely stunning. It's a very, very soft feel. It's like those those nice makeup boxes that feel really sort of velvety. And it's a lovely soft feel. It's a flexible cover, a leatherette, like that. And it comes in a multitude of different designs. There are loads and loads to choose from. Aesthetically, this book is very, very pleasing and it's very beautiful. So that's the cover on that one. Okay, so next we have the Leuchtturm. This comes in 18 different colours, and the elastic closure here, that band is corresponding to the colour of the book that you choose, which is very, very nice. It's a hard cover, very, very durable. It has the Leuchtturm logo engraved at the back there, embossed at the back there, which is really, really nice. And yeah, they're a lovely, hard-wearing, sturdy cover. Then we have Scribbles That Matter. Now this is a new one for me. I've never used one of these before. So this is another, again, hard cover. This is actually all vegan friendly, this book, so which is a really unique thing there. It comes with a design, let's see if you can see that better. Yep. It comes with lots of pretty patterns embossed all over it. So it's a really, really nice cover. Comes in, how many? 13 colour combinations this comes in. So it's really pretty. So you've got the white with the black elastic closure, and then you've got lots and lots of other variations as well. So you can keep it as simple as you want, or you can go very, very bright with these. So yeah, lovely, hard, durable cover. It says Scribbles That Matter down the spine as well. Feels very nice, looks lovely. Then another new one to me, we've got the Rhodia Goalbook. I'm quite excited about this one actually. This is a soft cover. So it's a soft, flexible cover, quite bendy. That may be prone to getting bent or beaten up a little bit more than the hard covers. It comes in 16 colours, which is nice. It does feel very nice, and the colour variations are very pretty. Got your elastic closure as always. So yeah, that is the Goalbook cover. And then we have the Rhodia Webnotebook cover. Now this only comes in 2 colours. It's a hard cover, again with the Rodya logo embossed in the front, and this one only comes in 2 colours, orange or black. It's a nice sturdy hard cover again with a corresponding coloured elastic closure. So what else do we have here? The cover features. One, so both of the Rhodias have an elastic closure on, so does Scribbles That Matter, but Scribbles That Matter also comes with an attached pen holder, a pen loop. So you don't have to buy that as an extra, that is just a standard. So that's a nice little feature to have there. The Leuchtturm just has your elastic closure, but the Nuuna, however, doesn't have any closure at all. So that's an interesting thing to note. So next thing, we have ribbon closures. Now the Nuuna doesn't have any, which is a bit disappointing, to be honest. I do like to have a ribbon marker just so that I know where I am in my book. So yeah, that may be a bit of a drawback for you if you're thinking about the Nuuna. Leuchtturm, as standard, has 2 ribbon markers, which is really handy. So you could have one in your calendar and then maybe one in the daily page that you're working on, but 2 is always a really big bonus. Scribbles that matter, how many do you have? So this one has 2 as well, so that's absolutely brilliant. The Goalbook has 2 as well, which is a new feature I think for Rodya, because the old web notebooks, well not old, but the web notebook only has 1 ribbon marker. So that's fab for that. Now as far as the size goes, the 3 hardbacks are all standard A5, which is 5.5 by 8.3 inches. They're all exactly the same size. Then the Goalbook goes slightly bigger, and that is 5.8 by 8.3. So let's put them together. It's minimal, but it is slightly bigger. And then the Nuuna is slightly bigger again. So you can see there. And that is 6.5 by 8.6. So depending on which size suits you better, you've got the normal A5 through to the slightly bigger Nuuna. Then let's take a look at the pages. So in the Rhodia Webnotebook, we have 192 pages in here. So pages is double sides. So there's actually 96 sheets. So pages 1, 2, there's 192. So the paper that they use in here is 90 GSM, and it's an ivory colour. It's quite a dark ivory when you compare it to the other books. But yeah, it's 90 GSM, it's ivory, and it's a Clairefontaine paper. Very, very smooth, very nice to work on. Absolutely beautiful paper. I know because I've purchased these many, many times. The only drawback here, for me personally, it might be fabulous for you, it doesn't have page numbers. So that's something to bear in mind. Then Scribbles That Matter. Their paper is again classed as ivory, but it's much more of a lighter ivory. So let's open that Rodya and see if you can see the difference now between the 2 colours. Yeah, so this ivory of the Rodya is quite a bit different. Anyway, moving on. So the Scribbles That Matter, it's 100 GSM, which is brilliant, really, really good actually. And there's 185 pages in here. Now these pages are numbered, which I really like. So yeah, that's that. I'm excited to do some tests in this. So then we have the Leuchtturm, which has 249 pages, and these pages again are numbered. It's 80 GSM, so it's a bit thinner than the Rodya, and it's quite a bit thinner than the Scribbles That Matter. And it's ivory again, but it's the lighter ivory, which I prefer personally. So yeah, then we have the Rhodia Goalbook. So these pages are numbered as opposed to the web notebook, which is great. Again, I think it's that darker ivory. It doesn't seem as dark. Let's have a look. It doesn't seem as dark as the web notebook though. It seems a little bit lighter. I don't know if the camera's picking that up there, but it is actually slightly lighter. So that's nice. Again, it's that 90 GSM Clairefontaine paper, which is absolutely gorgeous to work on. And in that one, there is, how many pages was that? 224? Yeah, There's 224 pages in the Goalbook. And then the Nuuna, we have, how many is there? 256. So there's 256 in the Nuuna, so that's the biggest book. The paper is white and it's 120 GSM, so it's thicker, it's the thickest out of the lot. So therefore that means theoretically it should give the least bleed through. So we will test that in a bit. And this is Munken paper, I believe. So I haven't had any experience of working with it, so I'm excited to test that as well. Now on the spines here, this spine is a stitch spine and it's supposed to be lay flat. So let's check that out. Yeah, it lays pretty flat, so that's nice. Then the Leuch term, that's a stitched book as well, also lay flat. The Goalbook, that's stitched too. Oh, and that's nice, that's a proper lay flat. It's a nice flexible lay flat. But it's actually, is it stitched and glued? Let's just check. Yeah, stitched and glued, so that's very interesting. Or is it just glued? No, it's stitched and glued. Excellent, brilliant. So that's that one. The web notebook is stitched and it does lay pretty flat. And the Scribbles That Matter, that is a stitched and that's a nice lay flat as well. So other features in the book, let's take a look. So in the Scribbles That Matter, you do have the following sort of address page to let everybody know who your bullet journal or notebook belongs to. Then you have just a plain page in between. Then you have a key. So, can you see that? So actually you don't need to make your own key for your bullet journal if this is what you're using it for, because it's already there, it's laid up for you. So that takes some of your time up, obviously, making spreads. So you can just transfer from an old book to a new book without having to make a key page. That's very nice. It does have an index and we've got 1, 2, 3 pages of index, which is fabulous. I do love an index. And another feature that this has that I really, really like is there's a pen test page at the back. Now in my books I always use the last page as a pen test book anyway, but to have a specific pen test book, that's fabulous. It's like they've really listened, they've really took note and seen what matters here. So I like that. In the Rodya, we don't have anywhere to put your name and address. It just jumps straight into the notebook. And again, obviously these pages weren't numbered at all, so there are no other real features as far as inside the pages go. The Goalbook, this is great. So we've got the page for you to write down your address, etc., or if lost, please contact. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of index, which is brilliant. If you keep running out of space and you've got to make your own new pages, that's great. Then we have 2 perpetual calendars. So you have your first one, which is kind of like a future log, so you can just jot down upcoming things that you know are going to happen in the following year, and birthdays, anniversaries, things like that. None of these are dated, so you can pick it up at any point of the year, of any year, which is brilliant. And then also you have another perpetual calendar where you can write down much more about, you know, holidays that are coming up and things like that. So again, undated, which is brilliant. And then it jumps in to the book, and sadly no pen test page, but that doesn't matter. So really good features in there. In the Leuch term, we have your page for your name and address, details page if you like, and then you have 1, 2, 3 page index, which is lovely, and obviously no pen test page at the back. Although, where have you gone? You do have sort of a plain page at the back here, so you could use that as a pen test page. Now in the Nuuna, there is no place for name and address, and there is no index or any other features. It jumps straight into the book. The one thing that I'm slightly disappointed about here is the first page is stuck to this black sort of insert here. So you may as well just write the first page off, because if you pull that back, it's going to come away from the insert page. So it's sort of like starting on page number 3. So if you wanted to write your index down, you're not going to have a page 1 here. So that is how I would do it anyway. So there's no features in the Nuuna. So let's hope that the paper and of course the beautiful design makes up for that. So other features to note about the books are that the Nuuna has no inside pocket, no expandable pocket so that you can put your little bits and pieces in. Leuchtturm does have an expandable pocket, and it also comes with some archival stickers so that once you've used your book you can label it up and remember what it was all about. So yep, you have your expandable pockets here. The Goalbook, yep, you have your expandable pockets. The Webnotebook has an expandable pocket, and Scribbles That Matter also has an expandable pocket. A very pretty one actually as well, with all the little doodles on. So that's that. Now the dot size, let's talk about the dot size and the vibrancy of the dots, because that might be a key factor for some people. So in Scribbles That Matter, the dot size is quite reasonable. It's quite small. The vibrancy of them is very faint, so they almost blend into the page, to be honest. The size of the actual grids is 0.5 centimeters, so it's a decent size, and it does appear to have a border around the page, sort of a clearly defined border, if you like, where there's no dots. So that's really appealing to me personally. And let's compare it with the Rhodia Webbook so I can show you what I mean. So in the Rodya, let's bring them up to the camera so you can see a bit better. I hope you can see that. So the dots in the Rodya are a lot stronger than in the Scribbles That Matter book. They are roughly the same size, but they do stand out more. And the dots here go all the way to the edge of the page. There is no clearly defined border in this book, so it just depends on whether that bothers you or not. Let's have a look at the Goalbook. The Goalbook again is exactly the same. They're quite strong dots, normal size, but they go all the way to the edge of the page. And the space in between the dots is 0.5 centimeters again. Leuchtturm. This has a nice clearly defined border around here. The dot size, the space between the dots again is the same as the rest of them, it's 0.5. But the dots here are small and they also just seem to blend into the page. They're not overly visible. Then the Nuuna is completely different. The dots are very, very small. They're very faint, but the grid size is different as well. So this has a very, very small grid. So those of you that prefer sort of maybe a narrow ruled page, things like that, you may prefer this. And these are only 0.35 space apart. It does have a nice clearly defined border though. In fact, it has the best defined border that I've seen. So depending on grid size, that may be a factor for you as well. Right, so the next thing that we want to do is do some pen tests in all of them. Check for bleed through, see how the pen's write in them, and we'll also, because I know that quite a lot of people like to use watercolours in their journals, so we'll also do a watercolour test as well. See whether the page lays flat still after water's been applied, see how everything is. So let's get cracking. We'll start with the Leuchtturm because that's on the top. And we'll go for the last page. So I'm going to use some typical pens that I would normally use in my bullet journal. I'm going to use the darkest colours so we can properly test the bleed through. So I'm going to start with using a pigment micron, which I use for everything. So we will just do some tests and then we'll see how they perform. Oh, we'll actually write down as well which pen that was, it might be helpful. There we go. Then I'm going to use my, which one's this? This is a Lamy Safari fountain pen. There we go. Next I'm going to use a Tombow. And use the other end. This is a Pentel. I wouldn't necessarily. Then we've got a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen. And then we also have my favourite Tombow brush pen. Okay, and I'm also going to use a mild liner and see how that performs. So let's take a look. So as you can see, there is definite ghosting there, and all of the pens have caused some degree of ghosting. Let's see. The pigment micron has probably caused the least. However, they have all ghosted. There isn't any bleeding, which is fabulous, but yeah, there is definite ghosting. So let's just do a watercolor test in here as well. I'm going to choose a pretty dark colour. Okay. Obviously we're not going to completely saturate the page, but right, we'll wait for that to dry off a little bit. Right, so that's dry. So I can see, I don't know whether you can see, there is some slight rippling in the paper. And if you look from the back, I hope you can see that, it's a bit more apparent. Yep, ghosting, definitely. But it's not terrible, but it's definitely there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same tests with exactly the same pens in all the rest of the books, and then I'll come back and show you how they've all performed in a minute. Okay, so I finished those pen tests in all of them. So as we saw before, that was the Leuchtturm. I did actually go back over and make the pigment slightly darker on the watercolor test. So let's just take a look at that. Still hasn't bled, but yeah, we have the ghosting as we saw earlier. So next we have the scribbles that matter. Writes really nice and smoothly on this paper. It's really, really, really pleasant to write on. And as for ghosting, yes, there is some. However, there isn't as much as the Leuchtturm. It's not too bad. The mild liner, I did go over it 3 swatches, just the same as I did in the Leuchtturm, and it did bleed through the tiniest bits, if you can see there, just at the very end. So that's something to bear in mind. But no, the ghosting isn't as bad. The watercolour laid really smoothly. It did not make the paper buckle at all. It was absolutely lovely. It was really nice on this paper. So that's that one. Let's close this up. Okay, so next we've got the Rhodia Webnotebook. So there's the swatches. Again, watercolour laid perfectly on this. Absolutely lovely. And at the back, no, there is still some ghosting, but again, it isn't terrible. If we can try and push that page flat, you can see. So there was no bleed through whatsoever from the mild liner, and the ghosting isn't as bad as the Leuchtturm. So that's that one. Then we have the Rhodia, however you want to pronounce it, Goalbook. And again, extremely similar. Obviously, it's the same paper. Ghosting's around about the same. Watercolour laid lovely on top of here. No page buckling, nothing. So that's that one. Then, last but not least, we have the Nuuna. And there we have it. Now, I did have an issue with this. When I was writing with some of my brush pens, I did notice that the fibre tips on the brush pens was sort of shredding a slight tiny bit, and it was kind of making my pen drag. And if you look at the back, there's actually quite a decent amount of ghost in there, but also when I laid the watercolour down, the watercolour did bleed through. The water went straight through the page. So that's very interesting to note, especially as this was the thickest quality paper. So that's interesting. For me, the best performance of pens on paper and watercolour on paper was the Scribbles That Matter notebook. So, you know, that one, everything performed really well on it, and I found that that had the least ghosting. So there we go. So overall, what can we say? They're all lovely books. They're all really, really lovely books. Which ones would I buy in future? I would definitely buy the Rhodia Goalbook. I would definitely buy the Leuchtturm because I just have, I don't know, I just have a thing about Leuchtturm. I love the border around the grid. I love the colour of the paper. There is ghosting, yes, but if you don't mind that, then, you know, that's okay. But I do love the Leuchtturm. The Rhodia Webnotebook, I would buy this again, but I wouldn't strictly use it for a bullet journal. I think I'd prefer to go with the Goalbook instead of the Webnotebook for bullet journaling, simply because I love the fact that they've added 2 ribbons now. They've added the numbered pages and the index and those perpetual calendars. I really enjoyed that. Really, really, really like that. So, yep, I would definitely buy that again. I'd buy this again, but I would use it more as a notebook, not a bullet journal. Scribbles That Matter. This, I think, is going to be my next bullet journal for sure. I am very impressed with this. It's my favourite out of all 5 of them. And I'm really looking forward to having a bullet journal in here and utilising all of the lovely features that it has. I'm very excited about this one. In fact, I can't wait to start it. But out of all of them, this is my favourite. For me, the Nuuna, although it's a very beautiful book, it's a very, you know, it's lovely. What can you say? It's absolutely gorgeous. But it doesn't quite have enough features to cut it for me, and also the performance of some of my pens, it did disappoint me a little bit. It's not going to go to waste because I will use it as either a daily journal or a writing journal, and for that it will be fabulous. But for bullet journaling, I'm not going to use that one. So one last thing that I forgot to mention was price. So the Rhodia Goalbook was £18.50 for the Goalbook, and in dollars that is around about $24.95. Then the Scribbles That Matter, that was £14.79, and in dollars that's around $19.99. The Leutsch term, let's go for that one, is £14.95, so that's around $20. The Rhodia Webbook was again £14.79, so again that's around about $20. And the Nuuna, which was the most expensive, was £21.89, which is around $29.59. So it is the biggest, it is the heaviest, and obviously the cover is the most beautiful, but it's also the most expensive. So the cheapest one of those was a toss-up. Well, the Webnotebook and the Scribbles That Matter book were the same price, and the Leutsch term. So those three hardcovers were the same price, and then the Rhodia Goalbook was in the middle of the two. So if you need to make your decision based on that, then these three were the cheapest of the five. So yeah, so that's it for this little comparison video. I shall have a complete list of all the features we discussed side by side in columns so that you can see the comparison exactly, and I shall put that on my blog, which I will link down below, so that if you want to refer to that to further help you make your decision, you can. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.